Nothing destroys your finances overnight. That's the lie people believe. Most people think financial failure comes from bad decisions, impulse buys, blowing money on things you don't need, zero self-control. But here's what actually does the damage. It's slow, invisible, and completely logical. A slightly nicer apartment, a more reliable car, a few subscriptions, some convenience, some comfort, some peace of mind. None of it feels like a mistake. There's no guilt, no panic, no warning signs. But stacked together over years, these choices quietly erase progress and trap you in a financial position that never really improves. See, the most dangerous spending isn't reckless, it's reasonable. And today I'm going to show you why feeling stable might be the exact thing making you poorer. Let me be clear about what we're dealing with here. Comfort consumption is spending that reduces friction in your life. It makes things easier, smoother, less stressful, and that's exactly why it's so hard to notice. This isn't about luxury watches or flashy cars you can't afford. This is different. It's the apartment upgrade that feels more peaceful after work, the newer car that's just more reliable, the food delivery that saves you time, the subscription that removes one small inconvenience. Each decision makes absolute sense on its own. That's the trap. This isn't about buying things you don't need. It's about buying comfort you don't notice. You're not being reckless. You're being practical. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Here's what makes comfort consumption different from regular overspending. When you make these purchases, you justify them with logic, not emotion. This saves time. This reduces my stress. This is safer. This is more efficient. This is worth it for my mental health. And because these purchases feel smart, they bypass your internal alarms completely. Think about it. When you buy something stupid, you feel it immediately. There's that little voice in your head going, "Did I really need this?" You feel guilty. You justify it. You might even return it. But comfort purchases, they never trigger that guilt. Bad spending feels bad. Comfort spending feels earned. That's what makes it devastating. You're making financial decisions that work against your future, but they feel like you're taking care of yourself, so you never question them. All right, let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets real. Comfort doesn't show up as one big purchase. It shows up as small monthly increases that quietly become permanent. Let me show you what I mean. An extra $300 a month for a better apartment in a nicer location. Just makes sense, right? Less crime, better commute. A $200 monthly difference for a newer, more reliable car. No more repair anxiety. $150 in subscriptions and convenience services. Netflix, Spotify, food delivery, cloud storage, premium apps. None of these feel life-changing on their own. $300 here, $200 there. It's not like you bought a boat. But add them up, that's $650 a month, almost $8,000 a year. Now here's the part most people never think about. People understand how compound interest works when money is invested. Put money in, watch it grow over decades. Everyone gets that. But they forget that lost investing opportunities compound too. Every dollar that becomes a permanent comfort expense is a dollar that never gets the chance to grow. That $8,000 a year, over 20 years invested with average market returns, that's not just $160,000. With compounding, that's potentially over $300,000 you never built. The math isn't dramatic in the beginning. That's exactly why people ignore it. But over 10, 20, 30 years, comfort quietly taxes your future, and you never see it happening because each individual decision felt completely reasonable. Here's an insight most people miss entirely. In personal finance, there's a massive difference between variable costs and fixed costs. Variable spending is flexible. You can adjust it. If money gets tight, you can cut back on restaurants, entertainment, shopping. It bends. But comfort upgrades, they lock spending in permanently. Once comfort becomes normal, downgrading feels like loss, and humans hate loss more than we love progress. Let me give you an example. You move from a decent apartment to a great one, better location, nicer finishes, quieter building. After 6 months, that's just your life now. Now imagine someone telling you to move back to save money. It doesn't feel like saving money. It feels like losing something you earned, going backwards, admitting failure. So even when your income rises slowly or expenses get tight, you can't cut back. The comfort has crystallized into a fixed cost. That's the silent killer. Comfort doesn't scale down, it only scales up. Every comfort upgrade you normalize becomes a floor, not a ceiling, and over time, your entire financial life gets less flexible, not more. Now here's where it gets counterintuitive. You'd think higher earners would be protected from this trap, right? More money, more cushion, fewer problems. Wrong. Higher income doesn't protect you. It accelerates the process. Here's what happens. You get a raise, $5,000, $10,000 more a year, and psychologically you feel like you've earned the right to improve your life. So the raises don't go toward freedom, they go towards smoother lives, better housing, better car, premium services, fewer inconveniences. And because you're earning more, each upgrade feels even more justified. But here's the brutal part. Savings rates stay flat while lifestyles solidify. You're earning well, but you don't feel ahead. You're comfortable, but you're not free. You're doing everything society says you're supposed to do, but the gap between your effort and your progress never closes. This is why so many people earning 6 figures still feel financially stagnant. They're not reckless, they're comfortable. And comfort at higher income levels is extremely expensive. Let me show you the exact moment the trap closes. Early in your career, when you're making spending decisions, you ask, can I afford this? That's a constraint question. It forces you to evaluate whether something fits your budget. But as your income rises and comfort becomes normal, the question changes. You start asking, why not? That shift is subtle, but it's devastating. Why not get the nicer place? I work hard. Why not upgrade the car? I can make the payments. Why not get the premium version? It's only a few dollars more. When spending decisions stop hurting, progress usually stops too, because pain is information. When spending hurts a little, you pay attention, you evaluate, you make trade-offs. But when spending feels frictionless, you stop questioning it. And that's when comfort consumption takes over completely. The problem isn't that you're buying things. The problem is that you've stopped noticing you're buying things. Here's the part that sneaks up on people. Comfort consumption doesn't create immediate problems. It delays milestones instead. Your first $100,000 in investments, financial independence, the ability to take career risks later in life, retiring when you want instead of when you have to. Years pass, your income increases, you work harder, get promoted, make smart career moves, but that feeling of being ahead, it never comes. You did everything right, you worked hard, you earned more, you avoided obvious mistakes, and yet nothing accelerated. Eventually, people feel trapped without knowing why. They look around and think, I'm doing well, why don't I feel free? The answer is buried in 1,000 small comfort decisions made over a decade, each one reasonable, each one justified, each one permanently raising the cost of your life. That's the comfort consumption trap. Now, this isn't an argument for living miserably. Comfort isn't evil. Unexamined comfort is. The goal isn't to remove comfort from your life, it's to choose it deliberately. Comfort should be treated like an investment decision, not a default upgrade. Before locking in any expense, there's one question that matters more than all others. Does this permanently raise my cost of living? If the answer is yes, that decision deserves more scrutiny than it usually gets, because permanent comfort has a long shadow. You need to ask yourself, is this comfort worth the trade-off? Am I choosing this because it genuinely improves my life in a meaningful way, or am I choosing it because it's the path of least resistance? Some comfort is absolutely worth it. A safe neighborhood, reliable transportation, a workspace that lets you focus. But most comfort creep, it's not worth what you're giving up. And what you're giving up is time, freedom, options, flexibility, the ability to take risks, the ability to say no, the ability to make choices based on what you want, not what you can afford given your locked-in lifestyle. Control creates real security. Comfort only feels like it does. Most people trade long-term control for short-term ease without ever realizing the exchange they're making. And here's the thing.
Once you've seen this pattern, you can't unsee it. You start noticing every upgrade decision, every time you default to convenience, every time you justify a permanent cost increase because it feels reasonable. The awareness itself is half the battle. Because comfort consumption thrives in the shadows, it works best when you're not paying attention. So pay attention, question your defaults, treat lifestyle upgrades like the long-term financial commitments they actually are. And remember, the biggest financial mistakes don't feel reckless. They feel reasonable. They feel earned. They feel comfortable. And that's why so many people never see them coming.